Okay.
Right.
Welcome to the Undressed Podcast. I'm very, very excited to have you here at the Astana this time. The topic for this week is sexual frustration the man's or the woman's fault? Before we go deep into this, I would love to hear everyone just share their name and give us a little bit more of an introduction of who you are and what you do, if that's something that you find is very, very important. And then we just dive deep into the topic. How does that sound?
Sounds
cool.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Shall we start with you this time?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So my name's Renatha Pereira, and I am an intimacy and confidence coach, and I support women in getting into being more juicy in their lives.
That sounds fun.
Appropriate for this. Glad you're here.
I'm Brian Swan. I'm the co-founder of the Unstoppable Branding Agency and Unstoppable Beard product lines. Not an intimacy coach, but I've been together with my wife for 25 years.
Boom. You have some wisdom for us.
My name is Jenna Switzer, and I'm a sex coach.
My name is Tati Andrade. I am so many things right now and exploring all the things, but I'm diving deep into real estate. I have an online education school where I support women to become more powerful, magnetic in business, relationships, all the things.
Yeah, hey, I'm Vincent DeLeo. I live in Bali. I'm doing some construction over here. I've got about 17 years of relationship experience, and I have a beautiful 4.5-year-old daughter.
Oh,
How many relationships is that though?
That's 3.
That's an interesting.
That's 3.
Just 3.
That's
okay,
3.
fair enough.
There's a 12 years, 4 years, and 1. Yeah,
Okay.
12, 4, and 1.
I'm Bethany. I'm a human design and transformation coach, and I work in the field of bridging the mind and body connection.
I actually just had this idea. We're going to start this a little bit different. Rather than everyone telling us, is it the man's or the woman's fault when there's sexual frustration? Who has the opinion that it's the man's fault, and who has the opinion that it's the woman's fault? So man first. Everyone thinks it's the woman's fault?
No, I'm going to go with the man because
Okay.
I'm a man,
Yeah.
and it's got to be me.
Good point.
I like that.
Okay. So everyone else thinks it's the woman's fault?
No,
No.
I feel like if I'm frustrated, it's my fault. I feel like if there's a provocateur, there's a seed of temptation. But if I don't have the willpower and the consciousness of my own, if I'm not aware of myself and where to put that energy, then I guess it's my fault. So I would say it's my fault.
Okay.
I don't want to give anyone that
Agreed.
much power.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think it's a matter of choice. I don't believe in fault, but that's another level of consciousness, of conversation. When we blame or feel guilty about it, I think we're playing in the victimhood. So I would say it's a choice that a man will have, and it's my choice. So it's more like a responsibility. I think each individual has the responsibility to choose,
Choose if you're sexually frustrated or not.
to choose if you're going to put yourself in the position to deal with this frustration. Yeah. I mean, we are creating this reality down to the T. So it's about choices. What are your choices? And then obviously life will be responding and co-creating with you. And there's no fault for me. I think it's just a choice. It's a choice.
Have you been sexually frustrated in one of your partnerships?
I'm definitely sexually frustrated right now. And it is a choice.
So why do you choose to be sexually frustrated?
Because I know what I want, and I'm not going to settle for anything less. But
it's your fault you're sexually frustrated?
It's my responsibility. It is my choice. I don't believe in fault.
So now we're getting down to semantics. So if we're going to argue semantics, I want to know what sexually frustrated means, because that could be a
let's
whole
define.
lot of different things.
Yes.
Yeah, let's define what
Right.
it means. What it means.
Well, you said you're sexually frustrated, so what does it mean to you?
First-hand experience.
Well, I was seriously going all the way there right now. All right. Well, what it means to me.
Come on a bit closer to the mic.
Let's just put that way. I am Scorpio. I have 4 planets in Scorpio.
So we're going back
We
to
are
the zodiac.
talking about
They're on
There's
the
no
5th house,
escaping.
which is romance. And I feel like sexually frustrated, also what it means to be sexually frustrated, I feel like it's way less sometimes about the idea of the sex itself and so much also emotional, because you can only truly get the satisfaction that you want sexually if you have the physical, emotional, spiritual, like it's a whole package. So being sexually frustrated can mean you having a sexual experience
What does
with
it mean to
someone.
you? Being sexually frustrated. You want to go
Well,
away
I
from
think
this.
it's basic. In the most basic way, it's you wanting to have, for me, deep
Your
trust,
expectations not getting met.
intimacy.
Your expectations aren't being met.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
thank
expectations are your fault or your responsibility.
you. Well, yes, I do have like. It's not even that I'm expecting. It's like I'm not being met where I want to be met, and it's not my fault or his fault or her fault. It is what it is.
So do you like? Okay, let's go even more straight into this. Do you have sex right now? I mean, obviously not right now, but like
I haven't been
no.
having sex right now. No, I'm very sexually frustrated. In fact, I haven't had sex for like months.
Okay, but
I
I
was-
want to back this up because if we're talking about emotional frustration, we're having a different topic. Like, I don't mean to be a jerk, but like sexual frustration is different than emotional frustration. They can go hand in hand, but they are not the same thing. So we need to this is why it's
For
important
different
for us to
people.
define,
For
not
me,
for
it
different
is.
people. No, sex is if we're talking about sex, you can expand it and say there's tantric sex, there's embodied sex, there's whatever sex, but dogs have sex, right? It's a physical act that we do.
Wow.
So
I
you said you don't want it to be airy-fairy and politically correct, so I'm not into this
Do we
making
have
it
a
emotional
whiteboard
and
that we can
spiritual.
put up and-
Do we have a dog we can bring in?
Can we flash in the video
have
to
you ever had sex with someone that you didn't feel your heart pulsating, you didn't feel even his body, his energy, just skin? Have you ever had sex like that?
Yes.
Do you feel frustrated?
No.
Okay, I
Not
do.
sexually frustrated. Emotionally, yes.
I feel
Maybe
sexually
spiritually
frustrated.
disconnected, but you're not sexually frustrated because sexuality, and this is what I'm so if we're talking about frustration on a connection level, that's different to me than sexual frustration. So I'm happy to talk about either, but I just want to know what we're talking about because to me, very, very different topics.
Sexual frustration, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is it?
It's funny because originally I was I would have said neither. I would have said it's societal conditioning. I think that we're all conditioned to be hush hush and to not communicate openly with our partners and not hurt people's feelings. And, it's better to go behind their back than hurt their faces or not hurt them to their face. But if I'm honest, I lean towards, this
go
is
on.
terrible. This is
Go
definitely
for it,
conditioning.
girl.
I lean towards it being the woman's fault. That's where I would lean towards. Because did you ever see My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yeah.
And there's this saying that I love so much where she's the man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck, and she turns the head wherever she wants. And I think that is more true and obviously we're talking about heterosexual gender norms, but quite often, I think that there's an ability that women have physically. We are designed with more curves, more parts of us that are to attract the male attention. And I think that we have a lot more power than we maybe give ourselves credit for.
I would agree.
I want to hear your thoughts. I feel like you're sitting there thinking.
Yeah. All right. So I'm 49 next week, 6 days. Been with my wife for 25 years, and I've learned a lot of things. So when I said it was my fault, it's books like Way of the Superior Man And I didn't like read this book until I was 20 years into it. And things of men, I'll just say, like for myself, wanting to give answers. And I learned that women don't want answers. They want to talk. And I was just like, what the? And I tried it. And it was like a 45-minute conversation where my wife, Rhonda, just talked. And I just listened the whole time. And she goes, this was the best conversation you've ever had. And I was just like, whoa. And it was like I was like, man, there's things I've learned along the way to where it's like, you don't have to provide a solution now. So how does this deal with sex? There's a few things. One, being able to listen. Another thing that I found out was women want to be protected and they want to have security. And when I'm not providing that, like why isn't she attracted to me? Well, she's not secure.
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't feel protected. And when I show up as a man and I'm giving her like, I got you, man, she's all over me. I was like, wow. Another thing, I don't know if I want to share all my goods.
Go for it.
But 7 years ago, I found out, I listened to this book and I think it was The Compound Effect. And a guy he was having struggles with his marriage. And he wrote for a year straight, every day, about something he appreciated about his wife. And then he gave it to her on the birthday or Thanksgiving. I don't even know what it was. But she's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing gift. I'm like, well, why don't I just write an appreciation letter and give it to her every single day? So it's like putting deposits. And you can't you can't withdraw cash out of a bank unless you put a deposit. So every single day I write an appreciation letter.
Beautiful.
3 minutes. I've been doing it probably 6-7 years actually.
Wow.
Cool.
I go surfing every day. Pretty much every day. There's flowers in Bali. It's like, how easy is it to pick up flowers?
Beautiful.
Appreciation, deposits. And those things every single day, that gets her horny.
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying for me, sexually frustrated has everything to do with like emotions. It's so connected to me. It's 100% connected.
But I think that's more around intimacy. Like building the intimacy creates like openness to sexuality.
Of course.
So what you're talking about is more around the intimacy and connection of like emotional, mental, energetic, spiritual. And like what you've done is like, I'm going to create like an opening for all of it and to trust and to feel really safe.
Yeah.
So then she can actually relax and go, oh, he's got me. Let me just open up completely for him.
Yeah. I didn't figure this out the first 20 years. I'm like, why didn't someone tell me that?
Thank God she stayed, huh?
I've just been through this exact thing with my partner where we actually broke up because of the complete opposite, where I had no libido. I was like wondering what was wrong with me. Like this gorgeous man is literally like next to me in bed. And the thing is, we were like on our phones all the time. Our energy had completely merged into each other. We lived together, spent every day with each other, had a roommate, which also was like upsetting the polarity. And it got to the point where I was like, I don't know why I don't want to have sex. He's like, I don't know why I don't want to have sex. He's coming home, doesn't even want to like look at me, it feels like. And I'm like, well, what is wrong? What is wrong? What is wrong? Like, what is wrong? You know? And I'm giving him like all of this like nagging. He's again like trying to provide solutions by, I took the laundry, I did this, and I'm like, fuck that, like I don't care about the laundry, you know? But then we broke up and we created space. And in that 10 days that we just had dead space, we met again after the 10 days, and one like immediately couldn't, like we just ripped each other's clothes off and was like, okay, the polarity's back.
See, Sash, it's not just me.
Yeah. And but it was this piece where he, instead of providing the solutions, he just was there and just was open and opened himself to me, provided. Even this morning, like I was brushing my teeth and I was like, oh, I'd love to take the M-Max instead of my like Vario, my shitty Vario. And then I looked at my phone and he's like, do you want to take my bike today, baby? And I'm like, fuck yeah. I get here, I text him and I'm like, I can't wait to get home to you. You know, and like that piece, I agree with you completely. I think it's absolutely beautiful when that can be, and it's both sides also, because I wasn't letting him be that. I was like, you need to be this, you need to be this, you need to be this. Well, of course you're gonna go, I don't want to be with you either, you know? So yeah, I love that.
Nice.
Super interesting.
When I really lean into it, I look at, kind of similar, but it's more around society for how women need to be. So it's kind of like there's this dogmatic way of going, okay, this is what porn's like. This is how pleasure's received. I know growing up for me, I learned how to have sex through porn because I didn't learn. So I just was like, okay, this is how sex is and I should receive pleasure, and it wasn't enjoyable for me. And it was only when I started to get really confident in my body and my like self-worth that I was like, okay, let me open the door to Tantra and the kink space. And actually, what is it that I enjoy? What is it that I want to kind of open into? But it was definitely like a conditioning, and it was growing in the space of like confidence in my own body, because there's so many ways, like you were saying, like so many ways that I've enjoyed sex and I want to connect with someone, but I've had to grow the trust in myself and safety within myself as well, as much as like I'm with someone. So now there's like it's not an expectation, but there's a standard that there is safety when I'm in partnership, and there is someone that wants to buy me flowers and that makes me feel good. So of course I'm going to open up to him, and of course I'm going to be with them like more intimately, more sexually. So yeah.
So is it the man's fault if he doesn't buy flowers?
No, it's mine, because I've gone into there's a responsibility piece for me to actually tell him what I want and what I desire. So it's actually mine, because now I've learned to be like, oh, if I don't get this, it's like I don't feel that good.
Well, we're choosing the wrong man.
Huh?
Or we're choosing the wrong man.
I mean, for sure.
Fair enough.
For sure.
In some ways.
Yeah, because different people enjoy different things sexually.
Yeah.
And emotionally.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely have been sexually frustrated even in partnership.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And yes, in some ways, I 100% agree. It's my responsibility. It's my fault. You know, if I'm sexually frustrated, then there's no one else to blame but me. However, I also found in one particular partnership that sometimes the problem was the woman, because I am a very good communicator and I know how to like tell them what they need and what I want and what I desire. And then like for a few days, maybe for a couple of weeks, you kind of get that. And then they fall back into their old patterns and then their own insecurities of like, you know, not feeling confident and comfortable in their own body. And then, you know, that all ripples back down to intimacy. So then I feel like, well, yes, we can provide, and yes, we can like, you know, make them feel safe and whatnot. But if there's this insecurity within themselves, there's not much, at some point, there's not much that I can do as a man in order to give her that. And I'm getting sexually frustrated. And I would go even further. You can be sexually frustrated even though you do have sex.
Oh
yeah.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Yes.
I feel like for me, when it comes to frustration with a partner sexually, what comes to my mind, I'm sure there are like hundreds of examples that I could give. But I feel like when we are you know, having the intimacy sexually, I feel the need to explore. For me, it's important to explore different sides of that connection. For example, sometimes we'll be a little bit more kinky and aggressive. You know, other times will be sweet and like love-making, deep connection. You know, and I need those parts. I need this variety within one partner. This is one of the things that I need. So if I was with a man that is like all about the light masculine, the, you know, the softness, the sweet man, and all these things, it's like, wow, you're such a great man, but there's something missing. I want you to grab me. I want you to like shake me, you know. And sometimes I have had this frustration with like a partner, and I also had the opposite of like he couldn't just drop down and to be like, you know, romantic and like look me deep in the eyes. I want you to look deep into my eyes and, you know, say that you love me while we are having sex. You know, so like these things I feel like are the things that frustrates me sexually in the act, even like either or, you know, I just need to feel deeply what's going on. I don't like vanilla. That's my thing. Yeah.
Is that your fault or his fault?
I think again, I don't really fault. I think it's a matter of
who can you put it on?
Matching, chemistry. I think it's a matter of choice.
So your choice in the wrong man leaves you at fault.
Yeah, it was my responsibility.
And your expectations that he cannot meet leave you disappointed. Therefore, this is all on you.
Absolutely, it's my. What did you say?
The expectations that is not being met, that leave you disappointed, means it comes back to you again, because your expectations and the man you chose may have been flawed. So there's something in yourself that you're missing.
Yeah, could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how monogamous all you guys are, but like we're talking about, like, there was a time where I really wanted to explore like the kinkier side of things. And if I'm honest, I didn't really want to explore with someone who didn't have experience. So I spoke with some friends and got connected with somebody who'd been a dom for a long time, well established in the BDSM community. And I entered into that relationship exclusively for a dom sub relationship. And that was an amazing relationship. And I was never sexually frustrated. Emotionally, I got my emotional connection from other spaces, but for that experience. And so I think it's an interesting conversation. I'd be interested to know you guys' thoughts. Like, honestly, like, is it realistic to have one partner who's your dom, who's your king, who's your light bringer, who has flowers, who cries sometimes?
I really hope so. Otherwise, I'll be frustrated forever.
Why can't it be more than one? Why does it have to be one?
I mean, that's where you also look at like the relationship smorgasbord. It's like, how many things are you expecting from your partner? It's like, do you want them to be your therapist and your homemaker and the person that looks after your children? Or are you open to it? I've personally had multiple lovers and partners at one time. I think at once I've had like 5 or 6, and then I got a lot of like energy going out. But with each of those partners, I got to experience like the dom sub experience. And then with another one, I was more of the dom, and with another one, there was more energetic, and it was really cool to be able to experience different ways and like sex is important for me. So it's actually a conversation that comes up earlier than later. Around expectations, what we both desire, where we're at. And it's so fine if someone's not the same space as me, but can you be open-minded to trying new things? I think that's actually the most important thing for me. Going, I don't mind like even what you're desiring, because we're all different and we've had different experiences, but how can I have you having more pleasure and having that conversation with them?
I love that.
I have a question in regards to this. So it's like, okay, now you have these 4, 5, 6 different men, and everyone gives you something different.
All women.
All women, yeah, fair enough.
People.
And they give you something different. Huh?
I just said people, yeah.
Yeah, people.
Yeah. So then I wonder if that leads to, well, okay, if you want to pursue something a little bit more monogamous and be with one person, and that person cannot meet you in all of these areas where now like you had 5, 6 different people, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, let me tone it down in order to establish something more long-term with one person and go deep. They're not being able to give you all of these different data points and these different like desires and whatnot. Don't you think there's a risk of falling back into, it's like, well, okay, now like I got to find these other people in my life to fulfill these desires that I have?
Are you asking me specifically?
Yeah, or all of you guys.
I think it was, for me personally, that was an amazing experience in that time. Like I ended a number of them, those relationships, and I had so much love for those people, but it was because I noticed in myself the energetics of how much I was giving out. And so then I went on to pursuing more monogamish relationships.
I love that term. That's my favorite. I tell everybody I'm monogamish. Yeah.
Where it's like there is a partnership, and that is where my sexual needs are met. And then there can be an opening for honest, open, transparent conversations around like, hey, I love being tied up and I love shibari. Can I go and explore that with someone? But having really good boundaries and communication and consent about like what is actually explored. So your question around like, does it lead to other places? I think it depends on what people want. Like for me, I'm desiring more monogamish and like more partnership with someone and building, but it's the open-minded piece for me, because everyone can learn different things. I've learned different things in order to give my partner more pleasure, which I've then grown to enjoy because I love seeing someone else in pleasure. Like it's one of my favorite things. So I think it depends on your own blueprint of what you want and what you desire.
Who has been sexually frustrated in partnership here?
All of us?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. And I wonder if that really happens, and you with by far you have the longest relationship, and since you've been through this and you still are together now, we kind of heard an example of like, you know, we were sexually frustrated, it didn't really go, there was no libido, but and then you go through the breakup and you kind of like come back together. But how can we potentially even avoid going through that separation when we have, you know, that sexual frustration?
Sometimes you just got to go through it.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, we had to go through it because there wouldn't have been anything else. We tried the communication. It had to be dead space.
It allows perspective.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're talking about it as if sexual frustration is a bad thing.
Yeah, is it?
I learned a lot through being sexually frustrated.
I agree.
You know, it forced me to like really look at some things. So, I mean,
Like what?
So whenever I hear like sexually frustrated, it's happened a number of times over the years, but like particularly when I was married, we were married young, and I didn't find out till much later, but something happened during my engagement, and my husband had this sense of like betrayal, and he resented me, and it festered for, I mean, we were only married 4 years, but through the engagement, through the 4 years of marriage, it just festered. And so it got to a point where he had no sexual desire for me whatsoever. Like when we had sex, he made it very obvious that he didn't want to. Like it was like a, and then like roll over. Like it was bad. And so by the time I left, we separated, I was losing my mind. But think if he could have told me that he was hurt, you know, or somewhere in there, you know, but I don't even think he realized until maybe a year later, our divorce is finalized. We met up for drinks, for divorce drinks. And he was telling me about, oh man, imagine he listens to this. Anyway, he was telling me about this new girl he's seeing. He's like, you know, but she never wants to have sex. And I was like, oh, doesn't she? Oh, that's so terrible. Wow, that must be really hard for you. And he started laughing, and then he's like, actually, I wanted to talk to you about this. Like, obviously the situation I'm in now has given me perspective, and I realized that this happened, and I've been holding it against you this whole time, and it's really what killed that part of our marriage. And, you know, if he could have said it, if I could have, you know, been more sympathetic, because I was very much like, you know, I was like, I'm doing pole dancing classes, I'm doing striptease classes, like what more could you want, you know? Anyway, it's very interesting when I think back about it. Like, communication could have really helped a lot. I don't know. I don't know if it would have fixed it. You know, I don't know if we would have had great sex, but would have helped. So, but I learned like communication is so important to me now, like above and beyond, because I saw how disastrous it could end. Right?
Do you think you would have been together with him, like if he would have told you, or do you think
I don't know. You know, I got married at 22, and so I was divorce was 27, and so like we were so young. So I don't know if we would be together, but it definitely dawned on me last year. I was like, oh, I wonder, like, because he's a lovely human, and you know, anniversaries, birthdays, we still like, hey, how's it going? Hope you're well. But I don't know.
Little secrets like that, like, it's cancer.
It is.
It just pollutes from the inside. It makes you toxic, and you just cannot connect with a person. And I've known through personal experience, when I finally found out that I had this truth that I was holding on to, once I got it out, I just loved this person again. I could connect with this person again. Yeah. And it was my teacher that, okay, I have to recognize this sooner, or it's on me. If it's not working, I think it's on me because I'm not communicating. I don't know. I'm just getting, like, I went through a big healing period a few years ago, a couple of years ago, and I'm the most me I've ever been now, which is great. So I'm learning these things and these tools in relationship and understanding, because I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I have this codependent pattern, so I know what people want to hear. I got to learn to speak what I want to say regardless of the outcome. And I think I don't know if everybody has a piece of that in them, but that was a big thing for me, and it brings resolution.
I find that to be the most infuriating part of dating. You know, I go into this and I got two options, right? I want to just hook up with you, or I want to have a relationship and hook up, right? Those are my two, right? So right at the get-go, I'm very open. I'm like, this is where I'm at. you know, you don't seem like a relationship, but like seems like you'd be a good time. You know, like, where are you at,
Sometimes
right?
you just know.
Because it gives them that opportunity to say, like, actually, like, I thought there was something here, right?
Yeah.
So you know right away, right? And then you move into whatever direction you're gonna go, and then I want another conversation, right? Like, you know, I'm staying in the just hookup lane, or, you know, I'm ready for like, this is really going well lane. But when somebody is people pleasing, and I know, because I get it, you know, like I also in other ways I'm a big people pleaser, but if they don't tell you and you're just like, you know, hey, I'm feeling like this could be a relationship. And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to have a relationship with you. You know, and you're like, I don't know what that means. Does that mean yes? Does that mean like, so anyway, I find that really tricky in dating. It's like, I expect you to be honest because I'm giving you that opportunity.
I wonder actually if you talk about this, it's like, look, we could just have a good time and like, you know, have a little bit of a fun fling, whatever type situation going on over here, or, you know, maybe there could be more. If you give that option to a man very much in the beginning, and a lot of men, they just want to hook up anyway. Not like, obviously not all of them, but like if that option is there, they're going to pick that more often than not.
I don't give the option though. Like I'm telling, no, if I'm, so I meet a guy, I'm attracted to him, right? Vincent, I meet Vincent and I'm attracted to Vincent and we go out on a date and it looks like things are kind of going in that direction, right? I mean, not on the first date, obviously the third date. Anyway, it's going in that direction. Like before I hook up, I say like in my head, I see that there's a potential.
In your head.
Okay.
In my head, I want you to know that I don't see there's any potential here. You decide. Like we can go forward, but like this is where I'm at.
You tell the guy,
Yeah.
I don't see any potential for a relationship,
Yeah.
but we could still explore the hookup thing.
Yep.
You do this every time?
Not every. Well, yes. Before I hook up with somebody, I make it very clear what my
What do you mean
intentions.
hook up?
And
Like
when-
have
yeah.
sex?
Heck, I mean,
sex.
like be intimate physically. So I don't know if his penis is going inside of my body, but like if we're gonna be like making out and clothes are gonna come off or anything, like it just seems like it's gonna get physically intimate. I'm very upfront right at the beginning. It's awkward sometimes, just so we're all
I
clear.
have
Yeah, it's not a sexy conversation, but it's
I have that
necessary.
conversation in a different way. Have you heard of the RBDSM
Yes.
conversation? So I do that. So what
I
it is?
find that even more awkward.
Well, sometimes
All of them
but I
are.
find like once it's done, it's like open communication for everything. Like I used to be so awkward. So what it is you talk about like, where's your relationship status at? Are you single? Are you in a relationship? Are you married? Whatever. Boundaries, desires, sexual history, meaning. And it's like if there's aftercare. So that's every time. So sometimes it's like desires. I want X, Y, and Z. I just want to hook up, and I don't see like meaning this going anywhere. Like right now, I'm really single, or I'm actually open to a relationship. But I think that's definitely taken for me a lot of courage and a lot of practice. Like that was not easy for me at the start. But I found from having those conversations, I was able to like get really clear and really feel into, is this person someone that I'm going to have sex with? Like straight away.
Just puts you in alignment with
Yeah.
what is the relationships that are right for you.
For
But
sure.
only if they respond in a non-people pleasing fashion.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the whole point why I think like this is almost quite challenging and difficult to even do that, because a lot of men, it's so much more challenging for men in general to have sex these days, right? The bar
don't
is
know
really,
about
really
that.
high. Wait a second. The bar is really, really high for women in general.
Did you say it's
To
hard to have
have
sex
sex? No,
with a
it's
woman?
true.
Sorry, for
Did you
men to have sex with a woman, it's
Really?
absolutely
Really? I don't know.
yes.
Is that true? Is that true in Bali?
Think
In the
globally,
world.
like,
In
look
the
at Bali.
world.
Bali is
Sure.
just like a whole
Sure,
fucking
sure.
island, right?
But
So
like-
think globally.
Love
Yeah, but
Island
it's
over
so
here.
It's so much more difficult for men to actually get some pussy.
I don't know if that's
I'd
true.
love to
For
It's
yourself.
100%.
I
Even there's studies.
Whose
Yeah.
fault is it?
I don't drink
In the-
anymore.
wait. In the US, like just to throw out one statistic, and I'm not really into statistics, but like adult men from the age of 18 to 30, 50% over the last 12 months didn't have sex. 18 to 30, 50% do not have sex.
So whose fault is
For
that?
how many months?
No, but that's just the point that
6.
shows you a woman, when she goes out, she wants to have sex. She's going to have sex that night. Period. If she really wants to, she's going to have sex. For a man, if he goes out, it's not going to be that easy. Even for me, if I would go out right now and I was like, I want to hook up with someone, it's going to require a lot of work.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
a
I
big,
did this
big
like
difference.
statistic calculator, guys, and I have a really good friend who sent this to me, and it's like put in your requirements for somebody to hook up with. And so I put in my requirements, and it was like 8% of the US male population in your age bracket are eligible for you to hook up with. And I was like, 8%?
What's the population?
I'm
Like
never
200
going
million.
back to the US.
It's really, really high for women in general. So if you're like in the top 5 or 10%, you're somewhat good, right? Because you're in this bracket of like, okay, those women, like they want to hook up with you. But generally speaking, for a man to have sex is not that easy.
And we also have our standards and our requirements. Like I don't drink anymore. I don't go to bars. I don't do that kind of thing. So if I'm gonna meet someone, it's gonna happen at an ecstatic dance.
In the surf. It's going to happen in the surf.
Maybe.
Unless you don't like surfing.
But I'm not. I don't know. I kind of think that what's meant for you will find you. But if you have to go out of your way and like do all this work, it kind of feels like I'm like going to work.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to this because the point is having these type of conversations in the very beginning. A lot of men, they will tell you exactly what you want to hear. People please in whatever kind of way in order to get what they desire as well, because they are sexually frustrated. That's just the reality.
And if they say the wrong thing, they lose out on this opportunity.
Exactly.
Do you guys know the song, maybe you don't, by Meatloaf, Dashboard Lights? Do you know that song? It's like, she's like, will you love me forever? Will you please me? Will you, like, anyway, she's basically like, I'm not going any further until you promise me forever. And so then he's like, so I like, you know, I debated, and now I'm praying for the end of time. And it was this, it's so true though, because like in that moment, like biologically, not necessarily like we're not talking about conscious, but we're talking at an animalistic level. There's not a whole lot that a man won't promise if what he wants is right there.
And if they are sexually frustrated already, you know? And you work with your clients a lot, like you know, the prostitutes and like porn addictions and all these type of things. Like, where's it coming from?
Does it change in different age groups?
What?
Like the behaviors and the responses from men, because boys to men is a very different awareness.
I mean, depending on what you define as men, because there's definitely men in their 60s who are still.
It's not about age.
No.
Experience.
No.
Life
There's experience, but you can be 60 and you can still be a little boy,
That's true.
right?
So we're
Or
talking
you
about,
can be like 25 and you're a fucking grown-up man.
okay, so we're going to bring wounds into this conversation.
So I think here's one thing that I identified is also a massive issue for women while they're sexually frustrated. So I'm curious to hear like if you would agree, because a lot of women, they're sexually frustrated for two reasons. One, obviously communication, but one of the other big pieces is they're faking orgasms.
Really?
It's just like, no, they are not.
Oh,
That
maybe
just leads to
they are
like
not.
more terrible sex
Yeah.
because they're not getting satisfied. They're not getting their desires met at all. So faking orgasms because of this idea of people pleasing and making your man feel like, you know, XYZ, you're the sex god and whatnot. Actually, it's hurting them more than anyone else.
I've done that many a time.
So why
Yeah.
did you
And
do
like I basically realized down the line I was faking that and wondering like, why can't I come during sex? And it's only stimulation and it's only this and like, what the fuck? Like, but did I trust the partner? No. Did I fully let myself surrender in any way, shape or form? No. And there was no safety, but I was also not letting that safety happen. And it was only really recently actually with my partner in which the safety came forward and boom, you know, but for the whole time it was like, shit, why am I like, and then there was other times where I would be with a partner and they were frustrated that I couldn't come, which furthered and then it's like, I'm trying now, oh, I'm close, like, oh, and then I'm getting so frustrated that I'm so close and it doesn't happen, and then they're even more frustrated. Every other girl I've been with does this, so the wounding goes deeper and deeper. And it was only in this relationship that I've had now that he's like, okay, what do you need? Like, how can you feel safe? Like, like, tell me. Whereas before, I wouldn't have even dared tell someone what I wanted because people pleasing, right? And then it was like, oh, wait, I need to like use my fucking voice here. And then I get what I want and they get what they want. We both win. And I feel safe. And now I'm coming. Like, great, you know? But yeah, I agree. I really agree with that piece.
I don't fake orgasms, that's for sure. And
Never?
I think
You've never faked an orgasm?
maybe when I was like 14,
Okay.
that I didn't even
way.
know how to
Yeah,
have
you
an
were a child.
orgasm. I didn't have an orgasm until I was 17, 18. Yeah, I started young, I know. But I didn't have an orgasm until I was, I think, 17. So the first 3 years I probably faked. But that was... After that, maybe for a few more years to look good, you know? Like, you look good, and then, because for me, like, I have a certain positions that I can orgasm, and then at the time I didn't know that, right? So now I know that, and I make sure it's my responsibility too, you know? I don't blame that in the partner. I have my tools, I use them. But what was the other thing you said? Faking orgasms, and the other?
The communication. They
Oh, yeah,
kind of go
communication.
hand in hand, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so true. Communication, 100%. I feel that...
And because they are not, because women are faking a lot, what happens is men think they're doing everything great, like they're amazing and bad. So they're just gonna do the same thing that actually doesn't lead anywhere else. But more
It's
more
wrong,
orgasms.
wrong directions. And I think at least I know where I have to go.
For
I've
me,
got the map.
actually, I pay attention on that, because I want to offer my deepest gift as a woman is to give guidance for the man to, you know, kind of lead himself. So for me, it's like a responsibility, and I practiced that for the last 10 years to give guidance sexually for my partner, so he knows exactly what I want without words. So I understand communication with before. I feel like before sex, the communication will open up even more for the intimacy and the openness and the pleasure to happen during the act. But I feel that in the moment of sex, you know, the communication is more like body language, breath, sounds, movement. You know, you're opening up here, you're doing, and it kind of like, I kind of get turned off if a partner's like, oh no, this is how you touch my dick, and you go up, like during the thing. But if we do this before, like, I would just have a session, it's like, baby, so tell me exactly how do you like it, and we do the whole thing.
Just watch me.
It's not supposed to be sexy.
I'll show you how
This is
it's
what I
done.
do. Actually, I'm like, I want to watch you. Can you please self-pleasure? And I just prefer, like, this is how I learn too, you know? So I feel that is important when it comes to, like, pleasing each other sexually, to understand how the other learns, you know? Sometimes, for me, I don't want to educate my man. I am a coach. I know all these things. I know a lot. I don't want to be with a man that I have to educate. So if I'm with a man that doesn't have the capacity that I have sexually, I'll either not be with him, or I'm going to hire someone to do it for us, like to guide us together into intimacy and practices together. Because I can, if there is some like, if the levels are not so different, I can definitely guide and all the things, but my preference is not to. And especially like, just like the basic stuff, like, I expect my sexual partners to have like the basics.
What's the basics?
Vincent's like, hold on, let me get a pen.
I thought you said big dicks.
Yes.
I heard big dicks.
Okay. Well, we cannot lie, you know, we do like them, at least, like, it depends the body. I have a
How
friend.
important are they?
I knew you were gonna ask.
How important are what?
For me, I'm famous around my girlfriends. For me, this is important, you know.
Sorry, what's important? I missed it.
Big dicks.
Really?
Size.
For me, it's important. I don't know. Anyways,
You would disagree? It's
I
not
think
important?
every woman has a different depth in their vagina, and like, you know,
Anatomically speaking?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all different sizes, so yes, but not enough variance that you could say a big dick fits inside of some. I mean, like, yes, like anatomically, some people are smaller humans, therefore their vaginal canal is smaller, but it's not a.
So they cannot take a bigger dick, like a huge one. They have to
I
be
mean-
smaller one.
Yes, but I don't mean to be. You're not a big human. So if we're talking about like the height of the person,
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. So what is big for me sometimes is not, not big for you. So for me, I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about
What is big?
What are we talking about
definition
here?
of big?
Give us some measurements.
Straw.
Yeah, we'll give a straw. Here's
What is the
What are we
size?
talking? What are we talking? Stop.
no, okay. So I would disagree. I would disagree, and I would say like it's not the size; it's how someone uses it. My first vaginal orgasms, like without clitoral stimulation, was from a man who was not super well endowed, but he was super fun, and we had a great time together. It was very playful, and it was very easy for me to like relax and allow my body to experience things. And I've had epic orgasms from men who were more endowed, like, but to me, I mean, like, I've also had sex with someone who had a micro penis, right? So that is something completely different. It's like,
It's like it's
You don't
yeah.
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you not know?
Really?
Yeah.
Actually,
I
even
mean,
like
we're not here to shame
No.
anybody.
No,
Yeah,
definitely
because
it's not about
everyone's
shame at all.
Wow.
But it's like it all
Right.
works. That's the thing.
It's like yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
What
Well,
were
we're
we
just
saying?
talking about micropenises.
Like and
Okay.
the size.
Cool, guys.
I was giving a.
I think like all can work. Like I am a person like I'm more kink mentally than like physically. So like the things that can go on in my head to make me aroused, they are crazy. And so for example, if I work with what I have, like I can definitely turn myself on in most of the occasions, unless it's like, very
Emotionally not stimulating.
exactly. This for me will be like a total turn off. My mind don't work, my body don't work, nothing works. I can even try, but I would not be honoring myself.
I have a question for the ladies. If you are sexually frustrated in partnership with someone, what are the things that the man can do in order to help you to open up a little bit more, to feel more safe? As you said, like, there were certain elements that were missing clearly, where the man is contributing to that frustration. Because you can't get a bigger dick.
Well, you can see online those dick sleeves. You've never seen those?
Or like
Oh
the
my
dick
God.
pumps.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's
you
a lot
can-
I
of
spent
you
some time on there just
Full
viewing.
sleeve.
Like, what the hell is that?
There's fasting and heavy lifting that help boost your growth hormone and help balance out your testosterone.
That makes me...
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Bigger.
semen retention, like all those
Semen
things.
retention makes you bigger?
No, it gets you can be more aroused.
Oh, more aroused. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, constantly, and then obviously you have a increased testosterone level, which contributes to libido.
Yep.
And the heavy lifting and the fasting boosts your growth hormone by I think it's 3,000%.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
wild
Yeah,
how
it's
much.
huge.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's
Yeah.
Have you done that yourself?
Yep.
It's,
And how long would you go without releasing any semen?
Oh, I did that for like 3.5 months
Yeah.
as an experiment because I was between relationships. I was tired of meeting. I wanted something special, something real, and I thought I have to hold on to this so I'm louder on the radar for women, and it worked. I've done it before. You actually are seen. If you're constantly spreading your seed everywhere, you have less energy and you have less
So
pull.
energetically,
Energetically,
it's-
you have less pull.
You're like more magnetic kind of thing.
Yeah, a woman would actually stop and
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at you, and like, I see you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
true.
you can. It's actually a thing. It's like a pheromone that like builds within you. It's like
Yeah.
more masculine, like.
Yeah, and I noticed that I was just stronger and better in many ways. My eyesight was better, my sleep was better, my skin was better. I was more. I developed control, which is also sexy. Like the control of I don't need to go and like bury this sexual frustration in something cheap and just get out of my system.
This is definitely
I don't
very
need to
sexy.
relieve myself or resort to porn or anything like that. I stopped with all these things and I've carried on with that. And yeah, I think it gives you a sense of control within yourself, which is in turn a little bit more sexier because the man is not